There's no doubt about it that John McMurray is a complete pioneer when it comes to heart failure research. Many of the drugs that we use in the heart failure space, John has led those clinical trials.
I think John is an example of a true international leader in cardiovascular research with enormous achievements on huge scale for patients and population.
John is one of the all-time greats of cardiology. I think he will go down in the history books, and I think that he's left a legacy of researchers who will carry the flame forward for generations to come.
He is an outstanding clinician and clinical investigator. His work has truly changed medical practice in the field of heart failure.
My name is John McMurray. My official title is Professor of Medical Cardiology here in Glasgow University, and I'm also an honorary consultant cardiologist at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. I was very enthusiastic about science in primary school. In those days, a long time ago, your headmaster and your parents were very keen that you did medicine, and my mother by that time had trained to be a nurse, and it seemed the obvious thing to do. When I was a medical student, I worked for an amazing cardiologist called Derek Rowlands, and he gave me a lot of enthusiasm for cardiology, which I've retained ever since. And then I got the opportunity to come here to Glasgow, where Henry Dargy was very well known for his research in heart failure. And of course, a few years later, in late 1986, I saw the first presentation of the consensus trial. That was the first ever trial in heart failure to show a reduction in mortality. And this was amazing. It was mind-blowing. This was this condition that we thought was universally fatal. People had a very short life expectancy, and suddenly you could do something about it. And I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to try and do that.
Industry and people developing these drugs will scour around looking for the very best people to input and be a critical friend in the evolution of the way in which these trials are designed and conducted. And I've seen John in action, and there's just a huge admiration for his pragmatism, his common sense, his deep understanding of the science, and the quality of his advice.
He is responsible for the compendium of studies that are the 4, or John would say the 5 pillars of heart failure therapy. If you think about it, then John has been intimately involved in all of those, led on many of those. So the whole of heart failure medicine really depends on studies that John has been integral to the success and getting the results and disseminating them.
John thought how the guidelines should shape modern treatments. The major trials and introduction of new treatments have changed international guidelines. So the way we approach, diagnose, treat, prevent cardiovascular disease, specifically heart failure, has been shaped in a big way.
From a nurse's perspective, he was incredibly supportive and contributed to one of the first trials in the UK that demonstrated the value of the nurse in heart failure care. And we can see across Scotland, in just over 20 years since that first trial, the change in services. We've gone from a few nurses in Glasgow to now 60 whole-time equivalent nurses in Scotland. And I think that the research that he has contributed to has really helped shape the care that we deliver to patients.
And all of those things together help shape the way these drugs, which are now, taken by millions of people across the world, to the point at which they become a practice-changing medicine that literally, in many cases, saves people's lives or prolongs people's lives.
I'm Nicola. and recently had surgery for bicuspid aortic valve. That was a result of my heart failing due to cancer treatment. I got my surgery last May. The bicuspid aortic valve was replaced and it was successful. I'm still on heart failure because of fluid retention, so I'm on medication to try and control that just now. I didn't have a life. Basically, I couldn't walk 2 feet in front of me without being very exhausted, tired, and the furosemide has made a big difference to help me trying to get back on the road to recovery. I had my own flat before I moved back in with my mum, and British Heart Foundation take furniture and they take it back to their shops, fix it up, and it gets sold. British Heart Foundation needs funding, and funding doesn't get anywhere without charity donation, so give all you can. Clinical trials are very important to find cures, to find new treatments, and if it wasn't for people like Professor McMurray, I don't think I would be here today. So, thank you.
Our practice today, the way that we manage heart failure patients, has changed greatly since 20 or 30 years ago. And largely, many of these changes are due to the trials that John McMurray's led. So, John has an amazing legacy. He is a highly cited author, researcher, clinician, academic, and his papers will be cited for decades to come.
John's contribution to cardiovascular medicine is impossible to summarise on the basis of one trial or one instance. It's more of the big picture, everything we do for the patient. John's behind why we do what we do. That's quite an inspirational thing for all of us in Glasgow, and that's why we've got such a big team of people who are inspired to do what we do every day, primarily because John's been driving that for the last few decades.
That kind of inspirational work that John has led provides a wonderful platform for investigators in that field to continue that legacy, to continue to build momentum. This isn't an area of lost hope. I think there are opportunities to continue to improve the outcome of patients, but it needs discovery, science and innovation. It needs the translation of those early promising discoveries into early testing. And then ultimately it needs those later phase clinical trials that John has led over the years to prove that they work and make a difference to people's lives.
I wouldn't be here except for the British Heart Foundation. They're the ones who gave me my start in my academic career. And in this country, without the British Heart Foundation, there simply would not be cardiovascular research or cardiovascular researchers. So British Heart Foundation is crucial to that goal of making lives better for people with heart disease and ultimately, I hope, preventing heart disease. One of the most amazingly rewarding parts of my career has been the support and help that we get from people around the world, and it is amazing how most people are good people who do want to help, do want to do the right thing, are very supportive, and I'm tremendously grateful for the thousands and thousands of people who have helped me in that way, and of course the patients as well. I'm very worried about this word legacy because, of course, I'm not planning to retire anytime soon. This is like opening a newspaper and seeing your own obituary in here. So what do I hope my legacy is? The only legacy I want to have is that there will be more people who have the passion that I have to do clinical trials to improve the lives of patients. That's the only legacy I want to have.